Diwali time, and you could also, I hope, practice AWS. It's all about practicing. Okay, any questions so far? Do you want me to address any questions? If not, I will revise load balancing and auto scaling, because those two are critical aspects of our study. So shall I proceed with revising load balancing and then adding auto scaling policy, that is load based auto scaling. Okay, so today and tomorrow we will apart from this, we will address a couple of more independent services Amazon provides, and then next week onwards we will put together whatever we have learned so far to build infrastructures. That will be very, very useful and interesting. Yes, Sarvesh, I am going to revise load balancing and auto scaling. What is ELD? I hope it is elastic load balancing, right? Yes, okay, great. So let's quickly go through. This is load balancing auto scaling session of AWS cloud computing. I am Sri Prakash Neelakantan. My first book is already out last week. That is Docker Fundamentals with Pack Publishing, and second book is getting published. These two are video integrated video courses, and this is tag support. So all your queries, please address to tag support at Collabra, and it will reach me, and I will handle it within 24 hours. Very often you should get your reply back in a couple of hours. Okay, so load balancing is about distributing. Yes, Sarvesh, if you search for my name and PackPub, you will get the link to the published book. Okay, and load balancing is all about distributing load to existing instances. You should always remember, load balancer will not add more instances. Load balancer will distribute incoming traffic from users to, or it can be even from within other subsystems to existing instances. Okay, but if one instance goes down, it can trigger the auto scaling to add more instances. So indirectly, load balancer can also add instances or tell auto scaling to add instances. But technically, load balancer is to distribute load to different instances. Okay, so what is fault tolerance of load balancing? This is one availability zone. Amazon's availability zone can have multiple data centers, but availability zone can fail. So if load balancer has instances running in different availability zones, if one availability zone goes down due to any reason, it can your customers can continue to access your application through other availability zones. So load balancing adds fault tolerance. Even within one availability zone, if we have multiple servers being served by a load balancer. If one instance goes down, the other instances can continue to serve. That is clear? Next is auto scaling. This is different from load balancing. Auto scaling will add or remove instances based on conditions. It can be based on time, it can be based on load. It can based on a day of the week, or certain seasons like Diwali holidays, Christmas holidays. You can plan to add more servers. It can also be dynamic based on the demand. Okay, auto scaling capacity adjusted depending on the day of the week. Number of servers are added or removed in anticipation of expected usage pattern. Then auto scaling will also require a thing called bootstrapping. That is, when you launch a new instance using Amazon EC2, that instance should work the way you want, right? So it should have the Java environment or PHP environment or Node JS environment loaded, and your application loaded and ready to serve. So that bootstrapping is called injecting user data into the instance at the time of starting. This is called metadata. Okay. Then comes another two important terminologies. One is horizontal scaling, another is vertical scaling. I hope you know what is horizontal scaling. Can anyone say? Then I will repeat. Yes, adding more resources, increase. Yes, Sarvesh, yes, Ashutosh, adding more resources or adding more nodes. Yes, Sandeep, like a single bus, exactly. And Ashutosh, vertical scaling is add more capacity or like a double-decker bus. Okay. So vertical scaling and horizontal scaling will have its own requirement, its own application. So you have to decide what is your exact requirement. Like database scaling usually is done through vertical scaling, whereas front-end servers are mostly handled through horizontal scaling. Any questions on this scaling? Okay, auto scaling advantages we have seen already, so we'll skip it. So Sarvesh is asking a question. So in AWS, which scaling is supported? Both these scalings are important. So both will have to be supported by cloud providers. So vertical scaling means adding a powerful server with more memory, more disk space, more CPU power. That is vertical scaling. And horizontal scaling is adding more number of servers. Both are possible in AWS. Okay. And when doing practical, please can you show demo of vertical scaling, that is adding power to an existing server? Anand, actually there is no demo for vertical scaling because you cannot add power to an existing server. So, so in order to reply Anand's question is, when doing a practical, please can you show a demo of vertical scaling, adding power to an existing server? To answer this question, you cannot add power to an existing server. So in order to add power to an existing instance, you have to terminate that instance and create another instance with a different instance type, like T2 medium, or M2 medium, or M2 CX large. Different instance type you need to choose. So and bootstrap another fresh instance. That is the only way to vertical scale. Clear, Anand? So the practical will look just like how we are launching an instance. And service like normal scaling, do we need downtime in AS? Yes, yes. This is again an important question. Normal auto scaling, you don't need downtime because you will be adding more servers or removing servers. But vertical scaling is not done in a dynamic fashion. You will be planning your vertical scaling, because vertical scaling means you are relying on the data on the instance. So usually vertical scaling is done for database servers. So you need to back up and create another database server with more power, and then switch the live database to a new database. And during this switch, the transactions will also have to be logged and recreated. So vertical scaling is done with the help of developers. And Ashutosh, can we add more RAM, CPU in existing instance? No, that is not possible. But disk space you can add. Okay. Service means vertical scaling requires downtime. So to answer this question of service question is means vertical scaling requires downtime. Yes and no. You can cleverly architecture your design to minimize the downtime, but theoretically there has to be some kind of a downtime of database switching or whatever. Yes, it must require some downtime. Service, but for few resources not required in our conventional method. Okay. Okay. Launch. So auto scaling components. First is you need to create a launch configuration. Launch configuration is nothing but a template. There is no cost for it. Yes, service like in virtual machine, if you want to add an interface, no need for downtime. Yes, but in real scenario of vertical scaling, it will not be adding an new thing. It will be adding power to an existing thing. So in that sense, it will be adding more memory or more CPU or more disk space. And disk space, to great extent, we can add without downtime, but still you may have to remap your database volume, etc. So you will need to plan. Okay, so launch configuration is nothing but a template. Okay. Shivang Shoni, what is a template? Template is a definition, like you want to launch, you want to launch, what is the example of template? You want to make a round chocolate. So you will need a round design, which you press it on the chocolate platter, and you cut out round chocolates. It's in the same way, launch configuration defines what type of instance you need, what bootstrap configuration you need, etc. So that when you launch a new instance, it will do exactly what you want it to do. So that is a template. Okay, so second is auto scaling group. Auto scaling group will add new instances based on this launch configuration or remove instances. Yes, Sarvesh, we are moving forward. It will depend on case by case. That is why you will need the help of developers who have built the application. Scaling plan. This tells the auto scaling how and when to scale. This is what we will see today. Okay, auto scaling group can add or remove instances. Adding instances is will go up to the maximum size, and removing instances can go up to minimum size, and desired capacity is the size that you want it to normally have. So auto scaling components, it will have an auto scaling group. It can have SNS alarm, CloudWatch alarm, and SNS notification, which will notify the scaling policy, and a new instance is created. This we will see in practical. When you look at the diagram, it can look complicated, but in practice, it is much simpler than this diagram. So this is a little more sophisticated diagram, which is similar to this, but drawn with little more in detail. So our today's practical will focus on this specific diagram. Okay. At that time, I will explain this once more. So auto scaling scenarios, you can have multiple auto scaling groups in an application. Like your application may have a web tier which can scale up or down. It can have an application tier which can scale up or down. It can have database tier which can vertically scale manually. Okay. Okay, so a part of this infrastructure we saw, we created a launch configuration, we created an auto scaling group and number of instances. Then we saw manual scaling, schedule scaling, and dynamic and auto scaling is what we will see today. Schedule scaling is nothing but time-based scaling. Manual scaling is adjusting the minimum and maximum and desired capacity. Auto scaling demonstration. We will go through this once more. Okay. So this is our user data. Any doubt in this user data which I gave it to you in last PPT? Okay, great. So this user data, today in our user data, we will add an utility called stress. So that you will also see one extra line, apt get install stress. That is apt get install. The siege we will not use, we will use stress. These are applications which can stress your instance to increase load. Okay. So this application, this web page, when we browse, will give the instance ID and the IP address mainly. Okay. And this is the CLI command that we have used to create an instance using user data to test it. Create auto scaling group. Then launch configuration we will do again today, and these are steps in launch configuration, which I have already given you uh, in the last slide. Create launch configuration, auto scaling group. All these we have done, but we will do it again. Load balancer, create load balancer, verifying the load balancer by attaching an instance and browsing. Any doubt in this? I hope you are doing this and not just watching. And this is an important, very important setting. This is when auto scaling group will begin receiving traffic from the load balancer. Okay, so this is, yes, Sarvesh did practical 2 times, excellent. This is what will make you an AWS professional, being able to create a load balancer and create auto scaling infrastructure. Okay, so this is very, very important, and just by reading you will not know this. Okay, so now I want to walk you through this infrastructure creation. So I will ask you questions. In order to create, you are joining a company and they are asking you to create a load balance auto scaling infrastructure. What is the first thing that you will need to do? Oh, Sarvesh also attended an interview on AWS and replied, already 70% on AWS. Excellent. That is a way to go. And I can guarantee if you listen to this video and do it, you will get through any interview on AWS, because this is based on my actual past experience, years of experience, and I also conduct interviews. So my explanation will also revolve around interview related topics. Okay. Questioning time. What is the first thing that you will need? Don't look at these numbers. These numbers are not what we need to follow while creating. What is the first thing that we need to anyone can guess in order to create this infrastructure? Yes, Ashutosh, register account. Yes, let's assume that we already have the account. Then what? You are attending an interview. Subro Jyoti saying instance. Yes and no. In this case, Subro Jyoti, in this case, instance should get auto created. So we won't manually create the instance. Okay, clear? Okay. So Ashutosh, we will need roles. Yes, yes. Assume that roles are also ready. You have the admin role. Kamlesh, auto scaling policy. Yes, auto scaling policy will come little later, after few steps. Ashutosh, IAM configuration. Yes, IAM is configured and ready. Sarvesh, plan how much load we need. Yes, assume that that planning is already done. Sandeep, depends on our requirement or environment. Kamlesh, ELB. Yes, you need to create an elastic load balancer first. Okay, so a clap for Kamlesh's answer. So let's come to the console and come to the load balancer. So just wait. Let's create the load balancer first. Then we will answer further. Ashutosh, then we'll need to create instances. Ashutosh, instances will be created in an automated way using the auto scaling group and launch configuration. Sarvesh, then we have to decide the metrics, means which parameter we want to monitor. Yes, that will come soon. So load balancer type, we will create a classic load balancer. Okay, so we will give it a name, demo ELB. And default VPC. VPC part we will study soon in the next weekend session. Okay, and it's not an internal load balancer. No, we don't need an advanced VPC configuration. And what port we want the load balancer to receive? We want it to receive HTTP port 80 only for now. Okay, create an select an existing security group. I will select our all IP open security group, and health check. It will be checking the index.html page to check if an instance is alive or dead. Now, can anyone guess why would load balancer will need health check? Can anybody wants to guess? Yes, Anand saying to determine which instance is up. Yes, supposing there are 5 instances which are running, and if one instance is not responding, then load balancer will stop sending traffic to that instance. Clear? So this should be very clear. Okay, so one question from Ashutosh. In the load balancer protocol, when I selected HTTP, I wasn't able to connect to the Apache running on ELB. When I selected TCP, then only it allowed me to connect. No, that will not happen. I will let me come to the next. Let me complete this, and to check if instance has, yes, Kamlesh, chef in a instance has problem and scale other instance automatically. Kamlesh, your answer is partly correct. I want to correct it. Kamlesh saying why would load balancer need health check? Kamlesh answer is to check if instance has problem and scale another instance automatically. Normally load balancer will not scale instance. Load balancer will stop sending traffic to the dead instance and focus sending traffic on the good instances. But if auto scaling group is configured with correctly, load balancer can tell the auto scaling policy to add more instances indirectly. Clear, Kamlesh? Service to route load to another available instance. Yes. Okay, so you should get Sandeep. I should not get halt due to high consumption. That will come little later. Okay, we will see that. That is a part of auto scaling policy. So now here to answer Ashutosh's question, load balancer protocol, this is what Ashutosh was saying. He had to select TCP. No, you have to select HTTP only here. And load balancer port and instance port must match. Did you select TCP here? Here also you should select HTTP. For now, for this course, we will only focus on HTTP. Okay, it should work like how it worked in our case. My audio is breaking. Okay, so connection is good actually. So Rengarajan says no. Ashutosh says all good. So it can be some connection disturbance on the way or at your end as well. So far, my connection is good this morning. So now, what we are going to do is, if I need to define name for demo ELB, but assign security. Why we have come back to the same screen? Next, configure health check. Add instances. Okay, so adding instances, here we will not add instances. Okay, because we are going to implement, like last demo, we added instances manually to demonstrate how load balancer can switch between two instances. You remember? But today we are going to implement this infrastructure, so we will not add instances manually. But here I must tell you, if your application is critical, you can even add one permanent instance to a load balancer, so that if something goes wrong with the auto scaling, etc., at least one instance will continue to serve your traffic. Is that clear? Any doubt on what I have said? What I said is, here the entire traffic is coming through an auto scaling based number of instances, but you can also add one permanent instance to the load balancer outside the auto scaling, so that auto scaling, any wrong setting or something goes wrong in the auto scaling, still you will at least have one or few instances which are added directly to a load balancer. Okay, but in this case I want to demonstrate auto scaling, so we will not add any instance. Tag, we will skip this, review and create. Okay, so we have created the load balancer. Creating a load balancer means you will get a domain name which you can browse. If you browse this, what will happen? Question. If you browse this Elastic Load Balancer domain name, what will happen? Index link will be executed. Ashutosh saying not found page in Apache, and Sai is saying, or HTML page that you gave will execute. Is it true? Is it true? Is these answers correct? See, just look here. Listeners, load balancer will listen to port 80. That is, when I browse, this curl is a browser type of application. When I browse, it will receive my request in port 80, and then it will transfer to instance port 80. Ashutosh, since we don't have any instance running on port 80, yes, a clap for Sandosh. No, Ashutosh, yeah, clap for Ashutosh answer, since we don't have any instance running on port 80, correct. There is nobody, no one listening on port 80 on this side. Sandeep, no, we didn't set any path for var HTML. No, Sandeep, we don't even have an instance. Kamlesh, no instance configured. I think it may go through page not found error. Let's see what error we will get. Nothing. Empty response from curl. If you browse on the browser, what will happen? Again, empty. So that is, load balancer has nothing to tell you, because on the other side there it is empty. So even file not found, if error, you will need Apache web server. Okay. So shall we proceed? What next? I want you to just be with me step by step. So what we did, we created load balancer. Okay, we created load balancer. Yes, correct. Next what we have to do? Anybody wants to guess? Now creating instances? No, Sarvesh. We will create, no, Kamlesh, we will create launch configuration. Okay, so here, this is the auto scaling icon. Step 2, create a launch configuration. Which will be used by the auto scaling group. Yes, Sarvesh. Yes, Sarvesh, ASG, first we will create a launch configuration, then we will create ASG, because ASG requires a launch configuration. So we already have created a launch configuration. There is no need to create another one. We can use it. See, AMI is there. User data we have already created, and we are installing Sage and Stress. Sage. Okay, we can't edit. See, we can't. See, one thing you need to remember is you can't edit a launch configuration. You can only duplicate a launch configuration and make changes to it. So supposing if I want another launch configuration, what I do is I'll copy a launch configuration, and there it will allow me to edit during the copy operation. It will allow me to edit. So here I can edit the user data. So what I'm showing you is a critical thing which you may not find in documentation. Security group, create new, creating existing security group, all open, both I'll choose. Create launch configuration and key pair. Okay, so if you come back to EC2 and view the launch configuration, we will see two launch configurations. See, so you cannot delete. You can delete launch configuration. You can copy launch configuration. You cannot edit a launch configuration. Any guess why we cannot edit an existing launch configuration? Anybody wants to guess? Kamlesh, because our instance would have already used existing one and running. A big clap for Kamlesh's answer. So Kamlesh, answer is because our instance would have already used existing one and running. So we can't modify. Ashutosh, because it's already a part of an existing ELB. Ashutosh, small correction, it will be a part of existing ASG, auto scaling group. Launch configuration is used by auto scaling to add new instances or remove instances. So that is why Amazon cleverly is not allowing us to edit, because auto scaling group would have used an launch configuration to create 500 servers, and in between you edit. Then in the log you will only see the launch configuration name. You will not know that you have edited it, and you may have changed the disk space or user data. Then infrastructure can become unmanageable. Sarvesh, we can't modify the working instances. Yes, so we can't, we will not know what change you have done or what change existed before. So it becomes a bad habit if Amazon allowed us to edit. So you can copy launch configuration. Okay. And what is the next thing we will do? Yes, Sarvesh, inconsistency. Okay. Next, what is the next thing that we will do? Yes, Anand, create ASG. Here the A is not required. Okay, so that ASG will use our launch configuration. Okay. So what we will do is auto scaling group, demo auto scaling group, that we need not use. Let's create a new auto scaling group. So when you create auto scaling group, first question that it is asking is which launch configuration or which template should I use. It will allow you to create new one here, but we have already created, we will use this. Okay. Next step, auto scaling group name, demo ASG using demo LC. Start with one instance. That is enough. Sarvesh, we can use Sarvesh, you wanted to use demo LC copy, both are same. I did not edit anything. Is it okay? Yes. Okay, so subnet. Anybody wants to answer? What is this subnet field? VPC we will study later. What is the subnet field? Anyone? Anybody wants to guess? Service, it is used to add the number of hosts. Sandeep, these instances from same network? No, see, like in Mumbai, we have Mumbai and Pune two availability zones. So if Mumbai goes down, the instances, so when auto scaling adds new instances, one instance it will add here, second instance it will add here, third instance it will add here, fourth instance. So it will distribute instance between Mumbai and Pune, for instance, so that it is safer. Yes, it is availability zone, high availability. Yes, network of availability zones. So some regions will have up to six availability zones. You must remember to provide all. Yes, they will have different subnets, but they will be in different data centers. Okay. Advanced details, load balancing, receive traffic from one or more load balancer. Here you must say yes, or we will do this as a next step. Health check grace period, 5 minutes is too big for our demonstration, so we will keep it 30 seconds. Enable CloudWatch detail monitoring, we will say yes. And instance protection, we will not protect the instance for now. Keep this group at its initial size. Use scaling policy to adjust the capacity of this group. We will use scaling policy to adjust the capacity of the group. Okay, so this we will do as a next step. Or it is better to do now itself. No, we will do it as a next step. Configure notification. We will not add notification. Key, we will add name and demo ASG, and it will tag the new instance with this. So we can put created by demo LG and demo launch configuration, so that you know what it is. Survey show, it means it depends on availability zone. Yes, instances will be added to different availability zones. Okay, so moment I create this, what will happen? Can anyone guess? Moment I click the create button, what will happen? Anybody? I created a launch configuration, then I am creating one ASG. Yes, Anand. Clap for Anand reply. One new instance will get thing. Kamlesh, clap. One instance will get created. Perfect. And service, it will create an instance from LC. Yes, exactly. Santosh, instances will be created. Madhuri, public IP, it will create an instance. Yes, Madhuri. Okay, so let's what we will do is we will watch the instance in another tab. So running instance, we will watch. So we have no instance running, correct? And let's click the create auto scaling group button. Okay, let's, yes, see, the instance is being created. Now, question. Now, if I browse our load balancer, what will happen? Quick. Now, if I browse, we will see data service. Santosh saying we will see data service. Can we add our existing instance in ASG? No, that question we will address, Sarvesh. Ashutosh Singh, if user data has Apache setup. Yes, it has Apache setup. Ashutosh, it should be available. It will give data, Sarvesh. Sarvesh Singh, it will give data. Is it true? Is these answers correct? If I browse the load balancer, Santosh need to check the instance ID. Who? You mean you need to check the instance ID? We can see the instance ID. I can show you this is the instance ID. My question is, if I browse the load balancer, will I see the web page from this web server? Web server is there. Santosh saying yes. If instance is created and our HTTP server is running? Yes, it is running. Rangarajan, the instance is the LB, the LB instance? No, Rangarajan. Service, then we will see the data. Ashutosh, yes, web page will be available if the security group is set up correctly. Madhuri, we cannot install Apache, it will show blank. No, we have installed Apache using our user data. Sandeep, it will show website. Okay, now my question is, how will the Elastic Load Balancer talk to the instance? See, we can see that the instance is in service under auto scaling group. Yeah, through internal IP, correct, but Rangarajan is saying instance should be mapped to LB. A clap for this answer, Rangarajan's answer, because the load balancer has no idea where this auto scaling. We have not linked auto scaling group and the load balancer. So creating auto scaling group, now what we have to do is, I'll put this here. Step 4, link ASG and ELB. Then only the elastic load balancer will be able to send traffic to the auto scaling instances, auto scaled instances. So there is one important setting. So let me demonstrate it. When I browse, see, it is empty. But if I want to see if the instance is running, just to demonstrate what, how can we browse? Anybody wants to guess? We have to go to the instance and browse the instance IP directly. Yes, Santosh, Kamlesh, Kamlesh, yes, public IP of the instance, service public IP, correct. And Santosh, no, from instance ID, we have to get the public IP. You have to access instance directly, correct. So let's access the instance directly. Yeah, see, a web page, I am the web page, I am the instance ID. So this shows that Apache is installed and the web page is created and instance is ready to serve traffic, but we have not linked the ELB to. So what I am showing you will not see anywhere in any other documentation, so it is very critical to know. So what we have to do, we have come to the auto scaling group, come to the auto scaling group and edit, and here there is a thing, load balancer. Here if you click using your mouse, you will see your load balancer listed. You choose the load balancer. Now it will start. See, classic load balancer attached to auto scaling group, learn using auto scaling with ELB load balancer. So now what it will do, it will receive traffic by attaching instances from this auto scaling group to the load balancer. So then if I look at the load balancer, you will see that instance listener instances, you will see there are no instances yet. So we have to wait for the auto scaling to connect that instance to, let's refresh. Yeah, see auto scaling attached the instance to the load balancer. Now if you browse our elastic load balancer, we should be able to see the traffic is received on port 80 and then sent to the port 80 of the instance. See here. So this is an interesting demonstration how ASGs now what I want to show is, let me log into this instance. Okay, this is the public IP of the instance. Let me move this tab here. Move this tab here. Okay, now SSH Ubuntu. No, I need to specify the key SSH -I key Ubuntu at the public IP of the instance. Okay, I am getting in. If you add Sarvesh, if you add ASG to ELB, then we will access through a record. Yeah, the ELB domain name can be called permission denied public key. So this is because it is looking for public key for this user. Exactly. Thanks, Sarvesh. Our user is this. So this user's authorized key only will have our IP. So we are inside the server. Let me switch to root. Okay. Now current load is very low. If I increase the load on this server, will it add more instances? Can anyone tell? No, because we have not created any policy to our instance to increase the load. Okay, so to increase the load, I have already given you the stress test command. Let me go to that. Sarvesh, it depends upon, no, it will manage within the instance added. Yes, it will not add Santosh need to set up CloudWatch. Exactly. Need to set up. Let me get the command which I have added in. Yes, see here we have already installed stress. So if I execute, stress has got many parameters which you can explore. Execute -C4. Okay, and what I will do is I will log into this from another window. I will log into the same instance. Subroj, am I not audible or voice is breaking? Sorry, again I made the same mistake. Ubuntu. Okay, anyway, I'll most of these sentences I will revise. Okay, I will repeat. So you will not miss anything. So now see the load increasing. See, load has become now 202.2 or it's 227% because this command stress is being run. And if you look at the ELB, if you look at the monitoring part of the ELB, healthy host, request hosts, ELB automated thing, or still better would be to go to our instances and look at monitoring, and you will see Is my screen is lagging as well? Anyway, I'll wait for screen to settle down. Okay, let me. Okay, see here, CPU utilization, CPU load is increasing. 1 minute period, last 1 hour. See, so we have made our load 100% or more than 100%. Currently, it is more than 100%, and still it did not add new instances because we did not create a scaling policy. So that is what we are going to do. So next thing what we will do in this diagram, so step 4 what we did is we linked traffic from ELB to ASG so that you can browse the ELB endpoint. Okay, step 4, step 5 will be step 5 is create auto scaling policy. So we will use load as the parameter for it to add new instances. Let's see how that can be done. So we'll come back to auto scaling groups. Okay. This is the auto scaling that we are using, and we choose scaling policy. We have no scaling policy added. Do you see here? So we'll click add policy. We will click create first what we will do is no alarms detected. So we will see, we will call it demo scale up. Okay, no alarm selected. So here I will click this to create a new alarm. Send notification, no need. When average CPU utilization it goes above say 50% for at least one consecutive period of 5 minutes is the minimum time. Okay, so this is the alarm. It creates an alarm. So click the alarm to view additional details. So it created a new alarm here. So you just remember this is the name of the alarm. What it has to do, it will add one instance and then wait for 5 minutes. We don't want it to wait for 5 minutes. We want it to wait for say 20 seconds. Okay, target tracking policy, create. So if the load is above 50%, it should add one instance to it. Rangarajan is asking, don't we need to create instance clones? No. Auto scaling will use a launch configuration template to create more instances. So let's wait. It should come anytime. Because our load is already more than 50%. Kamlesh, what if both instances are above 50%? You tell me. Kamlesh is asking an interesting question. What if both instances are above 50%? Anybody wants to answer? Yes, Santosh, new instances will be created. it will create till why is it, can anyone guess why is it not creating one instance? I have set the policy correct, and Kamlesh is saying what if both instances are above 50%, it should add instance. Now our one instance is already above 50%, but it is still not creating. Anybody wants to guess? Instances to be added to ASG. Yes, Ashutosh, clap for Ashutosh answer. Max limit. Wait for 20 seconds. No, max limit. So this load balance, this auto scaling group, we have to edit and set the maximum. Let's say keep it at 4. It was set at 1, so it will never exceed the maximum. So now let's, if you look at the instance, it should come. We have to wait for that delay. Certain delays, it will not set for demonstration time. Let's wait. Activity history, updating target instances. Let's wait. Yes, see here, the instances come. Now, since we set it at 4, what will happen? If both instances become trigger the alarm, then only it will create new instances. Okay. So now what will happen is load balancer will start giving load to the other instance. So this is what I wanted to show. So what I want you to do as a part of this demonstration is, so see now both the instances are added. Now if you browse the ELB, if you browse our ELB, this ELB is using this 13.126, correct? See, this is the 13.126 instance. If you browse once more, it is still 13.126. Why? Because load balancer has not detected this instance yet. So we'll wait for load balancer to see the new instance. Yes, both are in service now. Now it should switch. See, the other instances have started serving the traffic. So this is what I wanted to demonstrate. This is called auto scaling because we have added load on this server. Now, if I terminate this, load will start coming down. Stress is reduced and the load will start coming down. See 3.68, 3.38. I'm looking at this number. 3 means 300. So now the load will start coming down, and in the instances, see it is trying to create the third instance, and monitoring. So this means if any instance load is triggering the alarm, it will create instance. So now which is our first instance? I hope this is the first instance. Let's look at the load. This is the CPU utilization. See, now let's wait. See, slowly load is coming down. See, load is coming down. Okay, so now it should actually delete the instance. Now my question, will it delete instance? Will it remove instances? It has got now 3 instances healthy. Will it delete? I don't want it to unnecessarily create 4 instances. I will set it as 3 for now. And did you see the desired one is changing? So when we add a policy, the desired number will be managed by auto scaling group. Otherwise, we have to manage between minimum and max. Now my question is, when the load is low, will it delete instance? Any guess? Depending on desired, no. Ashutosh, no, since we have not mentioned it, maybe. Santosh, yes, you should know actually. We have not given a policy to scale down. Okay, so we have to, scaling policy, we only have a scaling policy to increase instance. So we have to add a policy, demo policy to scale down. Metric type average CPU utilization, create a simple scaling policy and no alarm. Let's create a new alarm. Send notification, nothing. Average CPU utilization less than or equal to say 20 or say 30%. At least one consecutive period of 5 minutes is the minimum. It will create an alarm and it will use that alarm, and then we will remove one instance. Okay, and wait for say 30 seconds for demo. Now we have two policies. One is to scale down, another is scale up. Now if it finds that instances loads are under control, it will start terminating instances. But this, I think you need not see it, since we are approaching our break time. See here, we are lucky. So it's terminating, and it will terminate till when? Will it make it 0? It will make it 0. No, our minimum is 1. Exactly, Ashutosh. Rangarajan, yes. So it will delete the instances since the load is below 30%. So it will terminate. Okay, now other one will also go. So let's have a so this is a very critical video. Do it yourself. It cannot be explained clearer than this. So if you have any questions, you can email tax support. Then we will move on to other topics. Okay. Yeah, Rangarajan, what is the difference between desired and maximum? So actually, this is a tricky question. I had explained this last time. If there is no if there is no policy added, you have to set manually the desired number. But if the auto scaling is added, desired will be automatically adjusted by the policy between minimum and max. Okay. So let's take a break now, and we meet at 9:29 we'll meet. Thank you all for your excellent participation, questions, and see you after 15 minutes. Okay, and we will address any questions and move on to other sections. So this is a critical demonstration which is essential for our infrastructure building. Okay, see, it terminated that. Now it is terminating the second one. Do you see this? Okay, so we will meet at, I'm muting myself. Thank you.
Hello. 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 બોલ. એટલે અંદર છે ચેનની અંદર ચાવી છે જો બે બે ચાવી છે અંદર જો મોટી ચાવી છે ઇન્ટરલોકની છે. હમ. એટલે આ કનેક્શન પેલો બગાડી ગયો ચાલતું કનેક્શન પેલા બગાડી બોલો કોણ પંખો રિપેર કરવા વાળો કોણ આવતું
Yes, Shivang, we had a break of 15 minutes. We'll start in a minute. Okay. Okay, welcome back. So, any questions on this so far? I have one question to answer. I think somebody had asked, can we add instance to ASG manually? Do you see this option, action? You can only detach instances from ASG. And you can set it to standby, set it to in service. That is all. You cannot attach an instance to ASG, but you can attach instances to ELB. Even if there is ASG attached, you can still attach instances to ELB. Okay, so let's proceed with the slide. So this is what we have created in this slide. Okay, now this we have covered. Stress test we have covered, these settings we have covered already, and that completes our auto scaling and load balancer exercise. So I have put another homework. You do this as part of today's homework. Madhuri, if already an instance is there, that instance we are able to add. So this is actually I can understand the question. This is an interesting question, but you cannot add existing instances. Auto scaling group can only create new instance using a template called launch configuration. Okay. So auto scaling group has to create instance, otherwise it will not know how to collect these instances. At least I have not seen that option, and I never had to use such an option. So now how will we delete everything? First I will delete both the auto scaling group I'm deleting both the auto scaling groups, and the last instance that is running, this instance we will need to delete. Instance state terminate. Before deleting, just ensure that it is the correct instance, and launch configuration will not cost anything, but still it is good to delete and keep it clean. That is gone. Now this is important. Load balancer, even if there it's not serving any traffic, no instances attached to it, still it will cost. So you have to delete. Now later on, we will also see more advanced configuration using a health check in a different way. Okay, so we've deleted everything. So ensure that after your exercise, you also delete everything so that your cost is only kept to 1 hour or 2 hours minimum. Okay, so next slide, we have to move on to S3. This is a very important area and very large. So what is important here is to focus on the topics that I'm covering, and don't get confused by other terminologies. So simple storage service, or S3, 3S, S, S, S. Okay, and Glacier. We will see what this is toward the end of the session. So I will also walk you through certain extra points in this course so that it becomes more comfortable. This is me, Sri Prakash Neelakandan. I have currently 3 AWS certification, but by next February I will have 4 certification, because I'm preparing to add more certificate, 1 certificate every year. And I'm currently I have completed I've completed 1 book, and this book is being prepared on Docker. And if you search Pack Pub and Sri Prakash, my name, you should get to these books. Tax Support Collabora is the contact ID through which you communicate to me. And simple storage. What is simple storage? Amazon Simple Storage is cloud storage for the internet. It is something like Dropbox. It is designed to make web scale computing easier for developers. So, but this is mainly for developers. Dropbox is for end users. So, Dropbox uses Amazon S3 to manage its storage. Okay. Amazon S3 has a simple web interface, simple web service interface that you can use to store and retrieve any amount of data. So this is very, very critical. It has unlimited growth potential, and anytime, anywhere on the web. It gives any developer access to same highly scalable, reliable, and inexpensive data. Okay. Infrastructure, and Amazon uses to run its own global network of websites. To upload your data, photos, videos, documents, or programs, or whatever, you first create a bucket. First, you need to create a bucket. We will see how these things are done. Let's just go through the theory quickly. In one of the AWS regions, this is very, very important exam question. You create a bucket in a region. You can then upload any number of objects into that bucket. So one bucket can hold any number of objects, but you can only create a certain number of buckets. Buckets and objects are resources, and Amazon S3 provides API for you to manage them. For example, you can create a bucket and upload objects using Amazon S3 API. You can also use S3 console to perform these operations. The console internally uses Amazon S3 API to send requests to Amazon S3. Okay, that is it as a quick introduction. Madhuri, if you delete ASG, automatically instances are also deleted. Yes and no. So as per the auto scaling policy, if it is ASG gets a chance to terminate, it will terminate. But if there are 2 if minimum is set as 2, and then if you terminate the ASG, then those 2 instances will continue to run, because ASG is terminated. ASG is not getting a chance to terminate them. Okay. Yeah, Subrot Jyoti, S3 uses space, so it will cost, but it is costs are very, very small. Okay. S3, if you go into the detailed costing, it will take a very long time for the course. So Our course will focus on technology part, which is the complex part as professionals that you need to know, but you can study the costing part separately. Later on, we may have a small session on costing. Okay, so advantages and features of S3. You can create and name buckets that stores data. Buckets are fundamental container. This is a feature. Store data in buckets. Store an infinite amount of data in a bucket. Upload as many objects as you like into S3 bucket. Each object can contain up to 5 terabytes. So one object will have a size limit of 5 terabyte, but you can upload any number of objects. Each object is stored and retrieved using a unique developer assigned key. Download data, download your data, and permission grant or deny access to others who want to upload or download data. So there are different authorization mechanisms which we will see. And then standard interface, use standard based REST or SOAP interface to access your S3. Now, like Dropbox, at the back end, it will be using a REST interface to talk to the S3 buckets. But in the front end, it will give you a nice web interface for you to upload or manage your data. Some more terminologies and concepts. Buckets. A bucket is a container for objects. So just remember, bucket will contain objects. Every object contained in a every object is contained in a bucket. For example, if object named photos slash puppy.jpg is stored in John Smith bucket, then it is addressable like this: John Smith dot s3.amazonaws.com slash photo slash puppy.jpg. Buckets organize S3 namespace at the highest level. Then they identify the account responsible for storage and data transfer charges. So this bucket name has to be unique, like a domain name. If somebody is using John Smith, nobody else around the world can use John Smith. They have to use John Smith 1, John Smith 2, or 1, 2, 3, like that. So it has to be unique, like a domain name. You can configure buckets so that they are created in a specific region. You can also configure buckets so that every time an object is added to it, S3 generates a unique version ID attached to that bucket. This we will see. Okay. Any questions so far? When we do this practically, things will become clearer. Yeah, Sandeep has a question. Which type of data you could store on S3, and can we schedule or delete data from S3? So first question, which type of data? Any data that you can save as a file can be uploaded as an object to S3. Anything that you can save as a file in your computer can be uploaded as an object to an S3 bucket. And next question, can we schedule to delete data from S3? This is a very, very important question, Sandeep. We will see that. Of course, it is possible. You can do very complicated things with the scheduling. Very interesting things with the scheduling. Terminologies, keys. A key is a unique identifier for an object within a bucket. Every object in a bucket has an exactly one key. So key is something like a file name. For instance, for now you see key as a file name, because a combination of bucket, key, and version ID uniquely identifies each object. S3 can be thought of as a basic data map between bucket plus key plus version of the object itself. Every object in the S3 can be uniquely addressed through a combination of web service endpoints. This is something what we have seen similar like this. And region, you can also choose a region. supposing your majority of your users are in India, you will want to create your S3 bucket in India region, so that the speed of download or speed of access and the cost will be less. Okay. Latency is speed of access. Okay. And certain regulatory restrictions, like certain confidential information, government may not want you to store in another region, so you may want to store it within that country's region. So once you create a bucket and store objects, it will never leave the region. Okay, it will always be in that region unless you explicitly move it to another region. Yes, can we replicate surveys? Can we replicate one region to another region? Yes, you will need to copy it. Okay, terminology, data consistency model. Amazon S3 provides read after write consistency for puts of new objects. This is slightly tricky terminology for you to understand it now. Supposing you have a file in the cloud. Okay, you make some change to that file. There can be n number of users accessing that file. When will those users see the change? That is called consistency. So S3 provides read after write consistency for puts of new objects. That is, if you upload a new file, it will be immediately accessible by all correctly. Immediately be consistent. Okay. Next is S3 offers eventual consistency for overwrite puts. That is, if you overwrite an existing file in S3, it will only be consistent after some time. So till that time, users will see the old file. So that is called eventual consistency. And if you delete a file in S3, delete an object in S3, some users may continue to get that file for a few seconds. That is the assurance of it. It will only give eventual consistency for all regions. Updates your single key are atomic. That is, if you overwrite a file, key is a file name. If you key within bracket, I will mention file names to avoid confusion. Okay, if you update a file, others will not see a corrupted file. They will see a completely working previous version, and then after some time they will see the new version. They will never see corrupted or partial data. Now there is a thing called different types of storage classes. It is called classes. One is RRS. So normally when you create a bucket and upload, the file, the storage class used will be standard. But if you and standard has got a high reliability. If you do not want that much of reliability, or the better terminology, durability, you can choose to upload using RRS class, storage class, so that cost will be low, but it will give you 99.99% durability. Okay. So each object in Amazon S3 has a storage class associated with it. So if you list the buckets, we will see, list the objects, you will see the storage class on the right side. Shivang, durability, you mean question? We will see what that is. So there are different classes. Standard class, standard IA we will see, and reduce redundancy. So standard I told you default is standard, and there is another standard IA. Amazon S3 offers following storage class for objects that you stored. You choose choose one depending on your use case scenario and performance access requirements. All of these store classes offer high durability. Standard is the default, is ideal for performance sensitive use cases. For frequently accessed data that you regularly want to browse or download. Standard IA stands for infrequent access, is optimized for long-lived and less frequently accessed data. So Amazon is cleverly organizing the storage class so that you are not unduly charged. So if you know that you want to upload your photos but you don't want to access it often, you can use standard IA option, because you will be accessing your photos only once a month or once a year. Then you don't need standard storage class, but you want high reliability because you don't want to waste money. Yes, standard IA will cost less, Kamlesh. So standard will cost some amount. Standard IA will cost lesser amount than standard. Standard RRS, I mean storage class RRS will cost much lower, where the durability is also low. So Amazon S3 offers this. Next is reduce redundancy storage. Reduce redundancy storage classes designed for non-critical data. You may lose your data. There's a probability of losing data is higher. Reproducible data. Can anyone guess a scenario of reproducible data? So in exam, there can be a question, what storage class you will use for reproducible data? And anybody wants to guess reproducible data, what it is? Where you will use reduce redundancy? Service recovery from backup can be. See, another example is, supposing you have a high quality video produced, which you store it in standard IA, so that high durability is there, but nobody is going to access that video. But you generate using computing power a lower format, lower quality of the video, which you store it in reduced redundancy storage, so the cost will be low. But in case you lose the data, you can always recreate the video from your original high quality video from standard IA. Yes, Santosh, correct. Program output data, which you can rerun the program and create the data again. Sandeep, like replication mirroring, it can be. Okay, so now I'm not going through these numbers because you have to by heart these numbers. As if you are preparing for the exam, what is the percentage of durability and what is the percentage of redundancy? Okay, so here, yes, this chart is what you need to by heart. Durability and redundancy. Okay, standard, it gives you 99.999999 whatever. It is called 11 nines durability. So don't get confused with durability and availability. Durability is the probability of you losing data is the only point, not 1, or it's called 11 nines durability, 11 nines. Okay. So this is 11 nines. Okay. So standard S3 gives you 11 nines durability or reliability. Durability is for reliability of data. And availability is 99.99. That is the 0.01%. If you try to download, your data may not be available. But still, after some time, if you refresh, you will get your data. Because this is the reliability, this is unmatched reliability. You can't imagine someone offering this high reliability of data. That is standard. Still, the costing is very small. Standard IA gives you the same reliability and same durability, but there is a retrieval fee. Anytime you download, there is a small fee. Amazon will charge you for it. Next is Glacier, which we will study later towards the end of this session. Don't get confused now. And RRS is what? Reduce redundancy storage, where durability is reduced to 99.99, 4 nines, and availability is also 4 nines. So you can, probability of you losing data is high in RRS, but still it is 0.01. Still it is very, very good. But if you lose, you have your data stored here, and you recreate running your program again so that you get back your data. So intelligently you architecture your company's data so that it is cost is low, reliability is high. Clear? Any questions so far? Good. So now coming to uploading and downloading, what you need to do is create and configure S3 bucket, upload using CLI or console, download using CLI or console, or web method. I will go through these slides because we are coming to the practicals, which will only make it very clear to you. So these things you can read again if you want. Accessing buckets, you can access using the bucket and bucket name and this URL, or bucket name and the region and the URL. These are also exam questions. Permissions, you can have different types of permissions added to your bucket. Bucket policies and access control list. You can add bucket policies to allow access to bucket. We will see how this is done. It will become clear. And you can also have access control list to grant permission to individual objects. See, ACL is for individual objects, an exam question. Whereas bucket policy can be for buckets and objects. Okay. Creating a bucket. So these are all ways to create buckets. So what we will do, we will create a bucket now. So we can skip through these slides and stop at some point and do the practicals and come back. Okay. So here next is uploading. So let's create a bucket now. So what we will do, we'll come to S3 in console. Any questions so far? Remember, if you are writing exam, you have to by heart those durability and availability and numbers. That is a critical exam question. Okay, great. So I have a bucket. I have 3 buckets. I will create one more bucket. I want to show you, if you choose demo, will it allow me to create? I'm creating in Mumbai region. See, this bucket name has to be unique. Thousands of people would have created demo 1, 2, 3, etc. So you have to prefix it with Sri and C. Okay, demo Sri is there. These things we will leave for now. These are called bucket properties. See, bucket properties. I just want to create a simple bucket. Again, property, another screen, objects, permission. Owner can read, write, and give permissions to objects, grant permission to objects like ACL. I'm not changing anything here. Manage public permission. Do not, so others will not be able to. Yeah, Sarvesh is asking question, is it a public? We have to grant public read access to this bucket. Then only it will become public, Sarvesh. Okay, so I'm making it public just for the sake of it. This is okay, we can ignore. So this is the summary screen. So versioning we have disabled. We will study versioning later. Access logging disabled. Tagging, no tags we have created. Object level logging disabled. And it is in region Asia Pacific, Mumbai. Bucket name demo 3. Permission, one permission. That is one user, and public permission. It is a public bucket. Okay. Create bucket. So see, bucket is created. Now if you click on this bucket icon, the buckets property will come. So that is slightly confusing. If you click here, you will see, you will get into the bucket. So that you need to remember. Okay. So we have reached up to that. So we have, all we did is we just created an empty bucket. Let's come to the slide again. Now upload files. Like I said, we can upload files. So side by side, I will also demonstrate ls demo command line. See, Amazon AWS CLI using S3 command, region. Anyway, region is important only when we create. ls will list the files, and I'm grepping because I have got several buckets, so I'm grepping to demo. Grepping with this string demo, so it will only show demo thing, and this is the new bucket that I have created. And if I want to see the contents in that bucket, I can ls like this, s3 colon / demo3, and it has nothing in it. No file, no objects in it. It's not files. Though files are like objects, Amazon calls the files objects. Okay. So what we will do, we will upload a file. See, I have one. Let me upload one index page. Okay, just a file. And next screen, permission. Again, you can grant public access to this file. Okay, and next. And here the storage class, do you see what storage class? I can choose standard IA. If I choose IA, every time I browse this file, I will be charged. But standard is costlier for storage, and reduced redundancy is cheapest. Other cheaper options we will see soon. Encryption, this is not a part of the course, but you can have certain encryption key, hardware based, dongle based encryption, etc., and ensure that your access is further secured. Metadata, you can allow it to have custom header to be sent when someone accesses, and then the key. So this is a summary. When we click, the file will come here. When we click, now it is empty. So let's upload it. See, the file is uploaded. Now if we list it using CLI, CLI is not a part of this course, but I'm just showing you so that you can also experiment with your CLI. See, the file has come. Okay, so what we have done is we have created a bucket, we have uploaded a file. Let's come back to the slide. So that I uploaded an index page and uploaded one error.html page, which you can create and upload. Okay, uploading files, we have seen this, we have seen this screen, access storage class, we have seen encryption, then the header, and the file is uploaded. Okay, next is versioning. Object versioning. Versioning enables you to keep multiple versions of an object in one bucket. Supposing I have uploaded one index.html, but I made some changes today and I'm uploading. Normally it will overwrite. But if you don't want Amazon to overwrite files, you can enable versioning. Okay, then Amazon will keep unlimited number of versions for your objects. Object versioning can be used in combination of life cycle management. We will see what this is. Yeah, service just like Git, but Git is more powerful in the sense that Git can show the differences between the previous version and this version, etc. And also Git is created by Linus Torvald, who created Linux, who is one of the cleverest living beings. So Git is very cleverly organized in the sense that every new version will only record the changes, whereas in this case every new version will record full file. Okay. So you might want to enable versioning. You must explicitly enable versioning on your bucket. Okay. By default, versioning is disabled. So these are exam questions. Regardless of whether you have enabled versioning, each object in your bucket will have one version ID. It will always have first version ID by default. It will be null. Okay. Next is, if you have enabled versioning, assigns unique ID for the object. If you have enabled versioning on a existing on a bucket, existing objects, if any buckets are unchanged, version ID unchanged, the version ID is null. So if there are already objects in the bucket, and if you enable versioning, they will continue to stay as null. Okay. Now one important point, which is also an exam question. Once you enable versioning of a bucket, you cannot delete versioning, but you can disable versioning. Okay. So you by default versioning is disabled, but when you enable versioning, you cannot stop versioning. You can only disable versioning. So object versioning, you are uploading photo.gif. Version ID earlier was 111. Now the new version ID is 1212. Amazon will assign a randomly unique version ID. And if you delete photo1, photo.gif, the previous version will become visible. That is what I wanted to highlight. Object versioning, enable versioning, and suspend versioning. Let's look at versioning. For versioning, we have to go back to our buckets. So let me go back to our buckets. Okay. So say this is a new bucket. I click on the bucket icon. So remember to click on the bucket, not on the name. Then it will go into the inside the bucket. Now management, versioning, properties. In properties, you see versioning disabled. Do you see this? You can click on this, and versioning of this bucket, versioning comes, click on it and enable versioning. That is all you need to do. I don't want to enable now because it's as simple as that. Okay. Next is static website hosting. This is not a part of the course, but I just wanted to show you. S3 also allows website hosting. So what we need to do is upload an index file or even an error.html file and come to the this page and click on static website hosting and say use this bucket to host a website. Okay, so this will be the URL. So let's browse the URL and see what happens. See it is giving file not found error. Okay, the index document index.html error document, error document also we are just specifying as error.html, but you can upload another file. Yes, Sarvesh is a question. So it allows without any app. Exactly, for this statement of Sarvesh, there is you need a clap. Okay, so what Sarvesh is saying, so it allows without any app, Apache or Tomcat. So this is a very, very important statement from Sarvesh. Yes. Okay, so this is a very powerful feature offered by S3. So most of the high-speed static websites are hosted by S3 alone, and the dynamic section like comment section, discussion section, etc., all handled using Node.js and Amazon's other features like Lambda, etc., so that you don't need an instance to manage your web server. Okay, so it may not be possible for other sophisticated applications like fully Java driven thing, but mainly Ajax driven applications can be hosted in S3. Okay, so I'm creating a static website hosting. Now let's see what happens. See, immediately I'm able to browse my index page, index.html page, which I have uploaded. That is clear? I can even upload. See, this is the index.html. I can edit the index.html and demo 1, 2, 3. I change the index.html locally, and what I will do now is I will use a console command to copy this index file over cp index.html to that bucket. So I'm also side by side teaching you how to copy a local file to the bucket. Earlier I showed you how to upload the file using the web console. Okay, so now if you browse, you should see access. You see forbidden. This is an interesting scenario. See, when we upload using console, that file will not be public. So what we need to do is we have to come to the bucket and make this permission public access. I will give read access. Let's see, now it works. See, now I am able to browse. The change has come. Okay, so the bucket has to be public when you want to make it a website, and the files you upload also will have to be public. Yes, Ashutosh, permission on the file. Why is it showing file content instead of the file name? Where when we do this command, Kamlesh? Yeah, see, curl is by default to be used to show the file content, because it works like a browser. Curl is a very huge command with so many options, but commonly it is used to show the file or the file in header. There are various options. This will give the header, that HTTP response it gives, etc. Okay, so but you can explore curl. What I want to show you as a part of this course is to see how to host your website using S3, which is not exactly a part of the course, but you can play around with it. Now, listing buckets, I have shown you. This is how to list buckets. This is how to see the content. You have to prefix this format S3 colon / and the bucket name, so that the file content can be seen, and copying to and from S3 using the cp command. You can copy a local file to S3, or using cp command you can copy from S3 to your machine. Yes, Kamlesh, what if you have multiple objects in our bucket? What is that question? Can you elaborate that question? What if we have multiple objects in our question? What scenario are you asking? Kamlesh, can you, if you have multiple objects in our bucket and if we use curl, what will it show? This is a good question. See, do you see one setting that we have in the thing, properties, overview, but this is the thing. Let me go back to the bucket. Okay, see here, static website hosting, we selected, right? Here we are using index document as index.html. So if you browse just the URL, what it will do is it will give me the index.html. But if I browse a specific file, if I want to browse, I have to browse like this. But the file is not, but it is still giving the index.html. Anybody can guess? I am browsing a non-existent file, and it is still giving me the index page. Anybody wants to guess why? Cache? No. Kamlesh, you have set error page also same. Yes, yes, Kamlesh. So that is the answer. So I have set the error page means when the file not found. If the file is not found, usually you will make an error page with somebody digging the mud or under construction or something and say, sorry, the page not found. Please check your URL or something. You have to create an error page and put it. But here I have put index.html as the error page. But I can also set the upload the error document. No, but that is same as this. You upload another page and set it. But what I can do now is upload another. Okay, let me upload the error.html also to the same bucket, and I will create a new page locally called sri.txt, and I'll upload that also to the bucket sri.txt. Okay, so now if I look at ls, I should see 3 files. See, it has error.html, website hosting means Subrod Jyoti, website hosting means it will be able to search that using Google. This question is not fully accurate. Website hosting means you will be able to browse the S3 URL to access your website, and if you submit that to Google or Google detects that website, Google will spider it and make your website available to others. You can also map this domain, your domain name to S3 bucket, so that when you browse your domain name, it will internally get redirected to the S3 bucket. Okay, so I am saving this, but I also have to do one thing. Overview. I have these files. I need to make it public. Make public. Then only. So now what we will do is, if we browse say some random URL, what will happen? It will show me my error page. Sorry, I was uploading. I should have used curl. Some random URL I am browsing. It will see. This is my file not found page. This is my error document. Error file. See. So how will be the, so now let's browse the existing page. See, that page has come. So my Anand, there's a question: how will the path look like static website hosting index field when index file is within the folder structure? Yeah. So this is again an interesting question, Anand. The index.html should be in the root. Okay. And supposing you create a folder and you can put files in it, and then you can browse those folders. That you can experiment. Like this, you can put a folder and browse as well. And this static hosting we will come across when we study the next topic as well, in a different way. Okay, so I just wanted to cover this. Let's quickly proceed with the remaining 1024. Okay, can we change the permission properties from CLI? Yes, Sarvesh, you can, but not a part of the course. You can explore. CLI, you can do anything. So CLI I have added just so that your understanding will become clearer. But what all you can do is really incredible number of things you can do in CLI. Okay, so this is deleting files, which is same as this. You use RM, and removing a bucket you use RB. Okay, so that is the static website hosting we have covered, and this is the website demo, and static website hosting. Deleting buckets we have covered. Deleting bucket is which you can try. Now coming to a very sophisticated area. Somebody asked, can we set rules to manage your bucket and objects? This is what it is. That is called bucket policy and life cycle to Glacier. I will show this in the slides only, because demo will require time. But it is straightforward. If you just follow this slide, you will be able to do it 100%. So what you do is you're creating a new bucket, which we have already done. Same screen, enter the bucket name, which is unique and lowercase. Bucket name has to be lowercase and unique, like a domain name. So bucket name, then same thing. Permission screen, no need for a public permission if you don't want to be accessed by others. Creating a bucket created, which is same as what we have done so far. Next is click on bucket policy under permissions tab. Here, add a bucket policy. You can there is a policy generator button here, which you can use to create bucket policy, and you can see who all can access. Put a star, and what action you can say read bucket, read objects, etc. And then it will give you this is the principle which you will use. Star, select action, get put object, get object. There are hundreds of actions, and finally when you click generate a policy button, it will give you a JSON template like this. That is, principle means anybody will have access to list the objects in this bucket. Then what you need to do is you copy this JSON, come to the bucket policy, and paste it and save it. Another is CORS configuration, which we will address later. Anybody knows what is CORS? If you know CORS, I can explain it. Otherwise, I have to explain what CORS is. Anybody knows what this is? Anyone? Okay. So I will explain this later. It's not that important at this stage. This is like if you in your website, if you want to include JavaScript or some CSS from another website, this feature has to be enabled. Now comes to Glacier. Glacier is the cheapest storage on earth, cheapest cloud storage. Okay. It is as good as free. It is that cheap. Okay, but it has got a limitation. You can only store, you cannot read. Are you getting what I'm saying? Glacier is, you can store, but reading will take time. Reading can take half an hour to 6 hours. Yes, exactly, Service. For archival purpose, it is stored in tape drives in certain location by Amazon. So reading will cost you money, but again very small amount, but reading will take time and money. But you cannot store directly, you cannot upload objects directly to Glacier. That is an exam question. You can only upload to S3 and set a life cycle policy so that after 3 days or after certain time, move the object to Glacier. This is what like one of your question was, how to manage objects. You can add life cycle policy to S3 objects so that it can be deleted, or it can be deleted and then copy, it can be copied to Glacier and then deleted. All these things you can do. You can create Glacier objects first by uploading objects to S3 standard, S3 reduced redundancy storage, or S3 IA, and then you can transition these objects to Glacier using life cycle management. You must first, in order to read, you must first restore Glacier objects back to S3 as one of the standard classes, and then read your object from S3. So it's a very clever way of giving us unlimited storage. So life cycle policy is in your management tab. Sandeep, are these options to choose RRS standard IA? So no matter, we could keep our data on any option. Means what? Yeah, you can use RRS standard or standard IA. One of the class you can use for one object. Then you can use life cycle policy, which I am going to explain, to migrate the object to Glacier, which is the cheapest. So the management tab, there is a life cycle tab where you click and choose the rule name. You can say, put a rule, my archival rule to Glacier or something like that. And then you can if you have enabled versioning, you can say, do you want to send only the current version to be sent to the Glacier, or you want it to send all versions? Standard IA has a 30-day minimum retention period. And there is another thing. See, standard IA, if you upload within 30 days, if you delete, you have to pay for one access. Subrat Jyoti, I need to exit now as I have a meeting. We'll continue now. No, so then our time is till 10:30 only. We'll stop here, continue the remaining policy and the next course. Okay, so thank you all for the participation, and see you tomorrow at 8, and we'll continue the remaining few slides of S3. So all the best, and keep your questions. I'll address them tomorrow. Thank you. Bye-bye.